Hi, thanks for clicking on this video. My name is Esahm. I'm from Palm Beach, Florida, now based in St. Petersburg near Tampa. And I want to share with you why, regardless of what your expertise or your industry is, you're doing yourself a disservice if you aren't learning how to use AI and integrating it into your workflow. So I'm going to give you a quick background about me. Go ahead and skip ahead if you're not interested in this. This is a basic background of why you should listen to me. I've been a digital marketing consultant for about 5 years now. I've used this career to live around the world and kind of go where I'd please. I've been able to work remote throughout that time. And I've started to see the writing on the wall when it comes to the transition in this industry and in other industries in integrating AI into the way we work. And so I actually have, as of now, started an AI automation consulting agency because I don't believe marketing alone is enough anymore. So let's go straight into it. Now, let's take a second to understand AI today, right? So we've got chatbots, we've got photo and video generation, we've got task automation, and like I was just mentioning, there's some misconceptions around what's really possible, right? The term AI itself is deceptive because it refers to so many different things at once. It's a chatbot, but it also produces photos that are starting to get really, really good. In some ways, sometimes people prefer those images over user-generated ones. The video is really getting there. The AI actors are really getting there. And its ability to handle tasks, being fed a knowledge base and being connected to platforms like make.com that syncs in automations has really progressed quite rapidly over the past few years. So I think most people who are using LLMs generally and not using them to code or to drive business results, they don't have really a clear idea of what it's actually capable of. They actually might overestimate it, but they also have a poor understanding of what it actually takes to drive meaningful results by using AI and AI tools. So let me get to what I'm talking about, right? AI isn't going to replace copywriting, but it's going to replace most copywriters. It's not going to replace graphic design. It'll replace most graphic designers, and I'm sure you've started to see that trend. Same thing with coding. It's experts, it's those who know how to use the tools, how to work the paintbrush, who are going to produce exponentially more content at a higher quality than those who haven't done the work of learning the tools. It's already happened in coding, like I mentioned. It happens that, when it comes to written content, there's a few more steps involved in getting the result you want. And there's, a large margin between those who understand how to write in a way that's actually going to convert, actually going to do well for you. That barrier will also come down with time as the LLMs get more adept at authoring different tones. I think ChatGPT is the most guilty of having a very recognizable AI tone, where something like Claude is a lot more difficult to detect because it's just a little more natural in some ways, or it relies on certain gimmicks less, like the EM dashes or like the classic. It's not just this, it's this. That's the classic ChatGPT. So if you're someone young who's already used to using ChatGPT, or you feel like prompting kind of comes naturally to you, you're in a bigger minority than you think. For decades now, actually just being good at Google search put millions of people ahead of coworkers or their bosses or older generation who they just didn't think about it, or maybe they just weren't comfortable with it. It was a hassle to them. And I'm sure many of you know that even now, just being able to search well is an asset. And I think people are the same way about ChatGPT. There's so many people that I've shown this to and kind of said, hey, try this out. And they kind of start out by asking ChatGPT sort of useless or kind of idiotic questions, or purposely try to ask it something, that will break it or get it out of its scope. And I almost feel like they do it in a way to sort of convince themselves that, it's not that great, or not the kind of AI thing that they saw in a movie. But fundamentally, I think a lot of people, either one, they just don't care, or two, it's a hassle for them, or three, they just don't see the point, or they just don't have the patience to kind of work with it. So anyway, that tangent aside, the reason I'm betting it all on AI, the reason for the purpose of this video is I've actually seen what it can do when you use it properly. And I'm not talking about throwing ChatGPT at your homework, or asking it to write blog posts. I mean like real systems you can build, things like AI receptionists that answer inbound calls, in seconds after someone submits an inquiry, right? Or automated follow-up. It's not just about having the AI do all the writing and send all the follow-ups. It's about the fact that if you actually know what you're doing, you can build the AI's voice around samples, transcripts, and you can get it to sound the way that you want it to. You don't just let it do, whatever it's going to do, because that's going to bring out the generic result that's going to turn people off most of the time. So, there's so much that it's capable of from the business side. These are just a few of the things that I'm seeing a lot of value in and starting to provide services in. Because this stuff can save people like an employee worth of business per week. And although there's hesitancy around using AI voice models and all that kind of thing, it statistically is converting better. It's responding faster. It's more consistent. It can provide personalization. It's never tired. It never takes a tone with anybody. And you have to realize there's certain things that we're going to start to see people just accept about working with AI that are positives. Like, there's no reason to get mad at an AI. But at the same time, there's nothing to stop you from abusing it if you feel like venting, right? So it takes out some of the tension or friction that often happens between people on the phone. A lot of time it is preferable to work with somebody on the phone, but in a lot of ways there are benefits to working with something that you have, no real emotional sort of human to human level interaction with, if that makes sense. So here's some interesting facts for you, about the competitive edge, at least in this aspect of the business. When it comes to working with service businesses, whether it's like realtors, home services, anything really, the data shows that even just a quarter of businesses call back leads who inquire. Most of them just rely on a basic, email funnel type of thing. And even that is very rarely fleshed out. If you call somebody 30 minutes after they've submitted an inquiry, you get a 20 times less a drop in effectiveness, essentially. So if you can be that person, if you can be that business that's calling back immediately or that's following up with the client when they show the interest, when you have that recency, you're getting a huge advantage. And you can hire somebody to do that for you, whatever it's going to be, $5K for a person to be on the phone all the time. But even that person is going to have lunch break. It's going to take off. It's going to have their off days. And the AI doesn't have that. It just doesn't have that drawback. So right now what I'm doing is I'm building these systems for people like home services, realtors, contractors. I want to help people who actually might really get something out of this, as opposed to like your typical like software, SaaS businesses, that kind of thing. They're already going to figure this out, but I want to reach the people who they get the leads and they have a great business model, but they want their time back. I want to help people get their time back, kind of thing. And it really helps when the work you're doing has somewhat of an ethical component to it, has somewhat of a feeling that you are helping people actually get back some of their time in life and actually get to do things that are more fulfilling for them. So, I want to show them how to turn an AI into an employee that works, for them all the time and essentially pays for itself in the long run. So now this channel, I'm going to be sharing with you what I'm building, what works, how you can actually use AI to get these kind of results, especially if you're in marketing or sales or service-based businesses. I'll walk through the tools I'm using, the workflows, and the real numbers behind them. Really just trying to get to application. So if that sounds like something you get value from, stick around and I'll see you in the next one.